Guild. Just wanted to put another video together for you. We've had questions surrounding simulation craft or SimC or what is simming. A couple people was like, how do we do this? Or, what do you guys use this tool for? That sort of thing. So we decided to go ahead and put another video together and kind of show you an overview on how it works. And so I guess we'll go ahead and start with what simming is. Simming is I guess it's a simulation of gear to potentially see if one specific piece is going to increase your DPS or not. Um, this is mainly a DPS type of tool. Now you can use it for tanking and or healing, but keep in mind if you do it for those two roles, then you will essentially diminish your abilities as your primary role. So, say for example, a tank wants to put out more DPS. Well, you can try and sim the information to try and get yourself more DPS, and it will do it for you. However, by doing so, and you might go over a threshold that would be comfortable with the healers, or for your play style that would reduce the amount or your ability to mitigate or dodge or heal yourself up based upon the changes to your gear. So not really recommended for tanks or healers, but is definitely a great tool for those that are DPSing. So how do we do this? Well, you have to have an add-on, in-game add-on that will allow you to pull the information. Um, I You'll need to probably look up if you don't know how to install add-ons into your World of Warcraft. Look it up. There's different ways of doing it. You can use third-party applications as well, though I wouldn't quite recommend it unless you're using a reputable source. Twitch is okay, but they get glitchy every once in a while, so it's up to you. But basically, you'll need to get the SimC add-on for your in-game add-on. And what that does is that actually takes a snapshot of your equipped equipment as well as your equipment in your bag. It will not pull anything from the bank. So if you got a bunch of stuff in there, then it's not going to see it. So put it in your bag when you do the SimC. So how do we pull that up? You will need to basically type in SimC, if I can actually get into the right window. Type SimC and you'll be able to pull up this particular window. And from there, you can hit cut or control X or copy, whichever you like. I like to do control X because then I know that once I do that, that window becomes blank and I know it's on my clipboard. I then go to a website called raidbots.com. And this is a great site. This is probably the best tool out there right now. There was an old version of this that you could use before called Simulation Craft. And this was something that we used to use, or at least I did. I don't know what any others, but say for example, I wanted to check and see if this headpiece was better than my current one. So I would basically unhash this one and hash that one up there, and then run the simulation, and it would go through. And this process probably took about 2 or 3 minutes because it would provide me an overview of everything. It would say, okay, this is, and it would give me my stats. So it would basically kind of give you an idea of what your main spells would be and what you'll want to probably try and focus on. This is still a great tool in that sense, but if you're just looking to find out which gear is best for you, then to simulate it, then this is probably the best place to go. You'll either use Top Gear or Quick Sim. I'm going to get into stat weights in a little bit, but you can also use Droptimizer. This is great for determining where your next best upgrades are going to be. But I won't address that in this video, but we'll go in and talk about our current equipment. So let me come in and I'm going to change out a bunch of gear and just kind of see what we've got. And then, oops, let's see here. What's my corruption at? 44. That's all right. We'll We'll try and get it to change out. What is this? Oh, I don't want that then. So, um, what did I have on before? Yeah, it was the one, so we'll put that on. All right, so we're at 44 corruption. So basically, we'll get our SimC, cut that, and then we will go to the game, or the website, raidbots.com, select the top gear, and in this box, you're going to paste all that data that you just pulled up. And what you'll see is the gear that you're wearing, your talents, and your essences that you're doing, as well as your corruption. So it's telling me I got too much corruption on my gear. So because we have it set for 39, and you'll want to make sure that you have this at 39 or less. And if you're running Heart of Darkness, you want to make sure you got 25 corruption or higher in order for those items to proc. So what do? We need to go in and we need to find out what gear is the best gear for us as it stands right now. And um, I just went through and clicked a bunch of things willy-nilly. Looks like I'm going to have to increase this up just a bit so that we can see the iterations down here. Iterations are important because if you go to raidbots.com, the free version will limit you to 300,000 iterations. So the more gear you pick, the higher the iterations go. And we obviously want to try and make sure that we stay within that because it'll tell you an error as soon as you go past it. So let's see here. Um, there it goes. So it just told me that I'm way over. Um, so we'll basically end up checking to see which items here are best for us. Um, Long story short, I don't think I ended up telling you guys, and I apologize for that. So these items that are highlighted in yellow are the items that you're currently equipping. So these are the items, and then anything that's not highlighted is what's in your bag. So you can do comparisons and find out what it is that uh, will work best for you in the various different combinations. So before getting into that, I also want to, what I would probably do is to find out what your best um, pieces are here as far as your Azurite traits. So, say for example, you want to run obviously some of these higher eye level items. So we're up to 60 iterations just by choosing these items. Now, we also want to look at each of these Azurite powers that are here. So, do I want to go with these particular ones? And as you click them, you'll see that this number also goes up. Now, if you're not sure, if you already know what your pieces are best, you can actually go through and change them. Or if you're not sure between a couple, you can essentially go through and say, okay, I need to find out what are the best items in this particular grouping. So we've selected the shoulder here and we said, okay, well, do I want to go with Rolling Havoc or Chaotic Inferno or Bursting Flare? So each class is going to be different on some of these traits. I know that Heart of Darkness is certainly a good item to have, but with the gear, it may not necessarily be the best item to have, especially if I can't meet the corruption levels. So we have 300,000 iterations here. So I want to go in, I want to say, okay, well, I also need to find out, if there's anything else here that we might want. So I'm going to select Gut Ripper on that particular one. And you know what, maybe Bursting Flare. Oh, darn it, I go over. Shucks. Okay, so maybe on one of these, I know I don't need to really have. I could probably uncheck it. But let's just say we're trying to figure out which of the shoulder pieces work best with the other Azurite armor sets and their powers that go along with it. So we basically hit find the top gear, and it'll go through, and it'll put us into a queue. And as you can see, there are 300 people in this queue. And sometimes it'll take about 2 minutes, sometimes it's 5 minutes, but eventually you'll make your way to the front of the line. Now, if you have a premium version, you skip the line and go right to the actual. Um, uh, you can just jump the line and it starts processing things right away. So I've got that. So I'm going to go ahead and backtrack here. refresh this page. And I'm going to come in, I'm going to select these pieces again. Actually, I think I did this, right? So, what did I check? Rolling Havoc there, Chaotic Inferno there. And then, didn't I check Gut Ripper on one of the, oh yeah, right here. So basically we'll just say that we're checking this information. I think choosing one more gets me over the 300,000. So you always want to look at what your combinations or your iterations are. So for simplicity's sake, I'm trying to keep under the 300,000 just to show you. But if we go ahead and hit find top gear, with the Patreon level, you end up jumping the line, obviously. So it'll go through and it'll process, and you'll see it work through and do all the different combinations. And it's checking the Azurite powers to make sure that it's seeing what is going to be best. And then it's going to give us an iteration as, okay, these are probably the best traits that you're going to want to go with as a Destruction Warlock. And it'll just kind of present it to you. And the great thing is that it kind of highlights the things that you need to focus on and look at. So in this instance, it looks like it wants me to change out the shoulder piece. And it's going to say it wants the Vile Manipulator Amis. And what did I have before? What was it? Let's find out. And so I had... So it wants me to change it to the Vile Manipulator's Amis. And it said, let's look at these traits. The traits look like they're good. So as you can see, it was the Bursting Flare, Heart of Darkness, Overwhelming, Long Strider, and of course the extra 5 points for the Azurite. So that's basically the item that we'd want to look at and focus at. So we would change to our shoulders and put that on. Now, it also said 44 Corruption. So we have to change that. I forgot to change it when we went to do the sim. So obviously we don't want to have 44 Corruption. So we're going to take this down to 39 again. And then obviously it's giving me this error. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to uncheck that. And we are going to go ahead and grab some extra pieces here. Make sure that we've got enough corruption, or try and reduce the amount of corruption. And see where we can go from here. Let's see. Your equipped gear has more corruption than max corrupt. This will likely result in your gear simming significantly higher than other combinations. And that's fine. Do we have enough? Let's see if we can't find additional items. Maybe we can purify these items here. That's what I'm wearing already. Alright, so let's... Top gear requires at least 2 combinations. Oh, let's do none. What am I doing here? So 25. Your equipped gear has more than 39 corruption. All right, so let's do this. Let's take that out. I guess is it not smart enough to tell me I need to purify a particular item? So yeah, it wants me to take out the, yeah, because look at all the corruption. So it looks like we're gonna have to make sure we don't have that much corruption. So let's just swap these boots out for these boots. And we'll do a SimC, cut that, come back up here, paste it, and gear has less than 25 corruption. So that's okay, because we're going to try and increase the amount of corruption, see what items will work best for us if we go down this route. So again, the common iterations are going to be probably you probably won't be able to choose as many if you're using the free version, but with the Patreon version, you can actually go through and pull all the information. So it'll go ahead and pull all this information, put it all together for you, and pretty much get you on your way and show you what gear you need to have. So once this completes, we'll take a look at this item here. Um, what I wanted to show you is the stat weights. But before I get there, we want to make sure that we are doing our best to make sure that the gear is updated. So these are the items these are changes I need to make on my character. So if I go in and change it, this will basically show you what it is that we should be changing. Um, and that'll also give us an approximate DPS as well. Once you've done this and you've settled into the right pieces, you can now then take a new SimC because it's got the equip. Now you want to check to make sure that your gear is properly equipped and enchanted. So we'll go through, we'll go ahead and scroll down to the bottom here and we'll select the different enchants that we would want. So in this case, it's only going to display the items that are specific to what I have. Now, if we need to, we can replace the current enchants. So we're going to tell it, go ahead and tell me what I need to change. Um, Now you'll be limited on the number of uh, iterations that you can do. Again, just doing this is going to give me 6 million iterations to determine whether I need to re-enchant or uh, change my enchants with regards to the current gear that I'm wearing. So as you see, it'll go through and it'll make all these different combinations. It's going to take a little bit of time. But again, we jump into the front of the line and we're able to use the servers and the processing powers that come along with it. Once that's done, we're going to want to find out what our stat weights are. And I mentioned our stat weights. These are the secondary trait or secondary stats such as mastery, haste, crit, versatility, etc. So we want to make sure that that those items are reassessed every time you change gear and every time you change an enchant and or gem. So once, say for example, this completes and you take those necessary actions on your character, you can then do another SimC, grab that information, and then paste it in here once you've gone to stat weights and hit generate stat weights. The great thing is it'll go ahead and start doing that for you. Again, you'll have to do this in line, but you'll be able to take priority if you have a Patreon account. Otherwise, just wait for a little bit and it'll run through and it'll finally get caught up. Now, this is almost done, obviously. So our stat weights are going to be generated. And here's our stat weight. So it's saying, based upon our current spec, um, these are your weights for your stats. So all you have to do is click on copy clipboard and then connect it into your stat weights add-on if you have one in game. If you don't, it's not a problem. I do have one, so it makes it easy for me to actually look at an item in my bag and tell me if it's actually an increase or not with regards to the item or to the gear. So in this case, I use stat weights. What's it called? Stat weight score, and go in. I just basically paste that information in, and as you can see, it's telling me my versatility should be at 5.77, haste at 5.49. So these are minor changes, and like I said, as you change things around, um, you'll see that these stats also need to change. So now that I've done that, I can actually look at my bag and I can look at these items, and you'll see about 2/3 of the way down, it says stat score destro-st for a single target, and it gives me a score of 2,518. And this is saying that this ring is going to go down 321 points or 0.61%. So obviously I probably wouldn't want to equip that. But knowing that it's got corruption on it, and I don't have corruption on these gloves that I'm currently wearing, might be something to consider. But a 15 point eye level difference is enough to probably not look at it and justify it. Now, I might only do that on some of the gear with the Azurite traits. In this case, the gear is not going to be an upgrade. However, it looks like this ring here is a minor upgrade. It is 0.01%. And as a min-maxer, you might want to go down that road, but for me, it's like, I'll just keep the current gear as it is. It's really not that big of a deal. But if you see a 1% increase or, 1,000 points or several hundred point increase, it might be something to consider. Um, but that's pretty much about it, and that's how the stat weights work for you. Let's go back to here. Oh, it's still processing all the different enchants. But the great thing is that once it's done, it will show you the best combination of enchants that you can have, or what you should probably look at. I won't bore you with this. This is going to take a while. It said that it was going to do, but it's at least you know that this is something that you can look at. Now, keep in mind your combinations obviously have to be your iterations. I'm sorry, have to be 300,000 or less. I think I ended up getting mine up into like 6 million. So, another reason to be able to get a premium membership, it does give you more information. You can provide more, gets more data. So I, it's up to you to decide whether you just want to spend the money on this or not. I like it just for the convenience, so I give them a couple bucks for that. So, anyways, I think that ought to do it. If you have any questions, reach out to an officer. Um, a lot of the raid team is simming as well, but I'm more than happy to help walk you through this, kind of give you an idea of what to expect, and some of the things that changes that you could possibly look at trying to do. Um, if you have any questions, like I said, just reach out. Most of the officers are doing this, so um, I should probably cover it. If there's something I missed, let me know. I'd be happy to try and redo this video and get it worked in. All right, other than that, I hope all you guys have a great time. You've enjoyed this, and we will talk to you again soon. All right, happy raiding.